So I just dropped Wren off at the vet in Calgary. I'm still here, like, in front. Yeah, she remembered being there last time. Because last time they took her from the waiting room and she was, like, okay to go. Because it was a new thing and she didn't know that it was, like, gonna not be nice. And, this time she's, like, fighting to get back to me. And yeah, she did not want to go. So they, like, let me walk with her to, like, another set of doors. Yeah. And yeah, it's sad, and it's okay to be sad, but she's a baby. Like, she's under a year old, and she doesn't obviously understand what's happening, and she just knows that she went somewhere and it was a really nervous, stressful, anxious time overnight as well, and, like, in a kennel, and there's other dogs there, and she got hurt, and that's all she knows, is that she's, like, gonna feel physical pain and emotional and mental stress and doesn't know why. And that's just, like, I don't know, like, she's, like, nervous and scared right now and just, like, wondering what the fuck is going on. Language. Just wondering what the heck's going on. And yeah, I don't know, there's that amount of innocence, again, is what makes me really emotional. Is, like, other than the fact that she's a dog, like, hold on a second, the vet is calling me. Weird. Yeah, yeah, they just called because they said she was good to go for surgery. She threw up twice on the way here, and I mentioned that to them. But I think part of it was just, like, the motion sickness from all the twists and turns on the way here. Like, right, just to get here, it was, yeah, like, the 5 minutes before we get here, it's, like, a weird, really twisty, turny, bit, and she used to get motion sickness anyway, but also, she, like, chewed some of this rubber ball and, like, ate it, and so that's gotta go in the garbage, because some of that came out in her vomit. Anyway, they just said, like, her vitals are fine, like, she looks healthy and good, so they're gonna go ahead with surgery. I don't know. Anyway, I'm trying to just, like, be in the present and just accept. I don't want to distract myself from being sad about it. So, again, yeah, I don't remember what I said before the call, so sorry if I'm repeating myself. But yeah, she doesn't know what's happening. So it's just that amount of innocence is, like, what really gets me. Is that, like, she's a baby puppy. She's under a year old. She's 10 months old. And she's also just a dog that doesn't understand and doesn't have the level of cognition and comprehension and awareness and whatever to understand. Like, we can't explain to her why this is happening and that it's going to be for her own good and improve her quality of life in the long run, but these next couple months are going to suck. All she knows is, like, I am stressed, I'm getting hurt, what's happening, what's going on, and that's it. That's all she knows. So, yeah, it's just sad. And it makes me sad, even though I know that it's for the best, but it's hard to be happy about it, because it's just, like, she's feeling these things, and that's the thing, if it were a child, even if that child was, like, younger, I could explain, like, hey, and then I could kind of just forget about it and be like, hey, I explained it, this is what we gotta do, I know it's gonna suck. I mean, if it was, like, again, depending on the age of the child, there's, like, a certain amount of maturity where I could explain it to them and they would understand it. And even though they don't like it, I'd be like, hey, but that's just what we have to do. But if they're, like, really, really young or a baby and they can't comprehend that stuff and there's no point in even explaining it, then it'd be this equivalent to this of just, like, they just know bad things are happening, and I don't know. But yeah. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. It's just sad times. But I know it's for the best, but that still doesn't stop the fact, like, doesn't make me feel less sad right now, and that's okay. I've said this before, that there's certain topics, like getting political, that I don't do often on the vlog for a lot of reasons, but every once in a while I do, because it's just, yeah, real feelings and things I want to talk about. Unfortunately, No, let's start with an example. I don't know if this has ever happened to you, but let's say you get into a band that are really awesome. Maybe they're a little more underground and they're not mainstream yet or something, and you just really like them, and they're good stuff, and they like have substance and whatever. And then a bunch of idiots that maybe don't understand the band, the layers there, or the substance, or the depth that they have, but they just like, oh, they have this like hit song, and they completely misunderstand it, and then they become fans of the band, and then much to sometimes the band's own dismay, they have this group of fans that are seen as like, these are your fans, and it's like either a loud minority, or they become the majority. And that's the focus, and being like, you have these idiot fans. Maybe the fans do something that don't represent the band well, or whatever, right? And then you are ashamed to be a fan of that band because you get lumped in with all these other idiots. That's how I feel about the Canadian flag right now. Every time that I see a Canadian flag right now, and I don't know when or if this will ever dissipate, I've never felt this way until recently with the truck convoy, the Freedom Convoy. I mean, I've seen people fly the Canadian flag with a provincial flag, with a Confederate flag. I've seen stuff like that. I've seen a tattoo of somebody that was a Canadian Confederate flag. Like, they combined the Confederate flag with the Canadian flag into a new flag that represented both. And that stuff was just like, oh, that's just like a one-off thing. Like, it's really rare. It's just like this person who obviously doesn't understand what most people would call Canadian values, or what Canada wants to present as their values. Obviously, it's not perfect, and there's so much stuff, especially historically, that does not represent what we have been taught Canadian values are. And there's a lot of, I mean, this is why they talk about reconciliation and stuff, right? But there's a Canada that people like myself have been taught and raised on and want to believe in, about striving at least for the mosaic and diversity and support of certain human rights and certain freedoms, etc., that are completely getting twisted and misrepresented and just completely turned around by a very loud minority. And they're so loud that sometimes it feels like they're a majority. And in some areas, geographically or demographically, they may be a majority. And that's what it feels like here in Southern Alberta. And I mean, there's so many trucks that I had seen with these ginormous Canadian flags that, because of the time we're in right now, in the Freedom Convoy time period, era, whatever, that they still have not, as far as I know today, they still have not resolved completely what's going on in Coutts and Ottawa and other places, that I'm associating those vehicles that I've seen with that movement. It makes me ashamed to, like, if I had a Canadian flag on my vehicle, I'd take it off, because I don't want to be associated with that movement. And it's really unfortunate that I feel that way. I don't want to feel that way. And it's really difficult because there's such a loud majority. It's not like the other people can be like, no, we're taking the flag back. They have associated that flag, and they've kind of said, like, Canada should be about freedom. We're taking it. We are going to take it back from Canada itself and give it our own meaning, because Canada in itself has misrepresented the meaning of freedom, and having laws and mandates isn't freedom, despite the fact that there's seatbelt laws and speed laws and assault laws and all these other things, which I've kind of already mentioned earlier in the vlog, that are just, That's what happens in a country. Like, seeing this Canadian flag doesn't make me feel good anymore, because these truckers and people in that movement, this freedom convoy movement, are using that flag to represent. They're like, no, this is what Canada's about. And there's a lot of other associations with that convoy movement, but it's just an unfortunate reality for people right now, such as myself, because I know I'm not the only one, that I don't want to fly an Alberta flag. I don't want to fly a Canadian flag right now. I don't want to be lumped in with those people, and it's really unfortunate that I can't just feel good about where I live. Which is one of those things where I've said before, if you don't like it, leave. And it's definitely not something that rephrase, it's something that I'm looking into and opening up to more and more. Which that's just a thing. Anyway. Friggin' lions, not sheep. I just saw this stupid flag that says lions, not sheep. And first of all, it's wolves, not sheep. Is it not? Like, is that not the saying that, oh man, now I forgot it. Wolves don't heed the oh man, what the hell is it? Wolves don't lose sleep over the opinions of sheep. Anyway, this giant flag that says lions, not sheep. Of course, it's like a huge lifted truck, and I can safely say that this is because of where the flag is and how big it is, and it just mirrors all the other like trucks that are part of the freedom convoy and the no mandates and this whole thing. You've got a different shepherd. You are still sheep. Do not be mistaken. Like, you think that you're thinking for yourself, but really, like, you are also latching onto a movement. You're latching onto something, and maybe you think you understand it. Maybe you did think critically, and maybe that really is your opinion. But that can be said the same for both sides. So if you call everyone else sheep because they want to trust science and or they want to go with what the province is saying, the laws of the land, and they feel like they trust those laws of the land and those mandates and whatever, like, is that being a sheep because they're even if they don't agree with it? Like, that's like saying, you know what, I think I should be able to go 110 on the highway, but I don't want to risk a ticket, and going 10 kilometers less isn't really gonna bother me. I'll just go 100 and I'll be fine. Or I'll go like 10 kilometers over, but not like 20 or whatever. You know what I mean? There's critical thinking involved there. Someone can just sit there, cruise to just the speed limit, and they can be okay with that, and they thought about it critically, and then you're saying that they're sheep because they're following the law? Because, or maybe they thought critically about it and said, you know what, like, driving's a huge risk for everyone every day, and like maybe my response time isn't as good as other people's, and like I am a safer and better driver when I follow the speed limit, so that's what I'm gonna do. And maybe they thought about that an incredible amount, but it's all just, they're all sheep. I hate sheep, I really do. Like, this is a thing like that. I like critical thinking. That's what I like. That's what I teach. That's what I want to incite in others to practice and to learn how to do. That is the whole reason I am a teacher. And it's just like, again, so as many assumptions as I could make, but like, for the people that are just like, oh, you're just sheeple and you're just following what they say because they say it. Well, how do we know that you're not doing the same thing? Someone came up with this idea to be rebellious and like, we need to not do these things because of, and then someone, and you just latch onto that, right? Or perhaps you are thinking critically, you believe you're in the right, you've really thought about it, you've done the research, you've thought that it's best for you to do. And people that are also following the freaking law can also have done that same research and come up with this conclusion that they're going to believe this over here, and then this opens up whole debates about echo chambers and everything else. But it's so ridiculous to just be like, these people are sheep because they're following the law, and again, if law, this is not dangerous. Like, you're talking about putting a piece of cloth over your face, and like, even if you're just like, yeah, I think that we should just have the infect the herd, we'll get over, if that's what you believe in, that's, I don't have anything against that. Like, if you feel like that's the best way to get over it, if you're gonna get into like Darwinist stuff and whatever, okay, but guess what? You choose to either follow the law or not follow the law. I lost my train of thought, so I'm replacing it with, I don't know. Oh man, I just got like so worked up about it because like I just got off the phone with my friend who was like, hey man, what's going on? Like he lives in the States now, but he lived in Canada for a long time. And then he asked me like really quick, like, can you tell me like what your thoughts are? And I was like, dude, like, yes I can. And then I saw that flag, but that's, yeah. I lost that train of thought. It's just, again, critical thinking can happen on both sides, and sheep can happen on both sides of this 100%. People have different reasons for doing what they're doing. You only see someone wearing a mask, you don't know how much they like it, they love it, if they take their mask off half the time, if they decided to wear it only in certain places, if they begrudgingly do it, they don't want to risk whatever else, you don't know. And I guess you could say the same thing for people who are disobeying the law. Unfortunately, there's a clear-cut line sometimes where people are obeying the law or not obeying the law. And yeah, sometimes it's like a Jean Valjean type situation where it's like, I don't think there is with the mask thing, that seems pretty cut and dry, but I mean, like, if someone's stealing bread, it's like, you broke the law. It's like, I broke the law to feed my family because X, Y, Z, or I'm speeding because I'm bleeding to death and there's no ambulance out here. Oh, maybe because the freaking trucks are blocking emergency road, or like roads that should be used for emergencies. Maybe that's why. Maybe that's why someone's speeding, because they can't get through, or emergency vehicles can't get through, and they've got to drive themselves to the hospital. Frickin' whatever. Just quickly wrapping up the vlog. I don't remember what I said last and when, but Wren's at home. Recovery's going okay. She's still like too jumpy for her own good when her sedatives wear off. And so just trying to find a dosage and schedule that works is key right now, which is why she's been monitored at all times pretty much, rather than sleep, since she's been brought home from the vet. And yeah, that's the biggest struggle right now, is just like, don't jump, like you can't jump, like don't do that. And yeah, that's pretty much it for this week. Last thing, I guess, other videos this week, there is a conversation about how money can't buy happiness, but it can buy opportunity for happiness. So that's there too. Anyway, see you another time.